Hello family, welcome to Movie Buff Cine. Today we are going to explain a fantastic Malayalam movie. George Cuddy was a simple, hard-working man living in a small, quiet village in Kerala. He ran a small cable TV business and was known to everyone in the area as an honest, kind, and helpful person. He lived a peaceful life with his wife Rani and their two daughters, Anju and Anu. The family was not rich, but they were happy. George Cuddy loved his family deeply and did everything he could to make them comfortable. He was not an educated man, he had only studied up to the 4th standard. But he was clever, observant, and wise in his own way. One of George Cuddy's biggest interests was watching movies. He would spend hours at his small office watching films late into the night. He was fascinated by how movies showed life, crime, and human behavior. From the stories he watched, he unknowingly learned a lot about people, the law, and how the police work. His wife Rani often teased him about spending so much time watching films, but he would smile and say that he was learning something new every day. Their life in the village was peaceful. George Cuddy was respected by everyone. People often came to him for advice because he was calm and thoughtful. His wife Rani was a loving homemaker, gentle and emotional. Their elder daughter Anju was a shy and well-behaved schoolgirl, and the younger one, Anu, was playful and full of energy. They were a close and loving family, with no big problems in life. But everything changed after one unexpected event. Anju's school had organized a nature camp. She was excited to go, as it was her first time being away from home with friends. At the camp, a young man named Varun Prabhakar also attended. Varun was the son of IG Geeta Prabhakar, a senior police officer in Kerala, and her husband Prabhakar, a government employee. Varun was wealthy, spoiled, and arrogant. He carried around expensive gadgets and acted superior to the other students. One day at the camp, while Anju was changing clothes in her tent, Varun secretly recorded a video of her using his phone. Anju had no idea that he had done this. After the camp ended and everyone returned home, Varun began to blackmail her using the video. He told her that if she didn't meet him privately, he would send the video to everyone or post it online. Anju was terrified. She couldn't tell her father because she knew how much he valued his family's respect and honor. Crying and scared, she told her mother Rani about it. Rani was shocked and didn't know what to do. They decided to deal with it quietly, hoping it would somehow stop. A few days later, when George Cuddy was away on business, Varun came to their house in the afternoon. He brought his phone and threatened Rani and Anju again. He demanded that Anju do what he wanted or he would make the video public. Rani tried to reason with him, but he didn't listen. The argument became heated, and in a moment of panic, Anju grabbed an iron rod and hit him on the head. Varun fell to the floor, bleeding, and died instantly. Both Rani and Anju were horrified. They never meant to kill him, it was an accident caused by fear. Rani tried to wake him up, but he was already dead. They panicked and didn't know what to do. They hid his phone, locked the door, and waited for George Cuddy to return home that night. When George Cuddy came back, he noticed that his wife and daughter looked pale and scared. Rani told him everything including the body were buried in the plot. George Cuddy was shocked and silent for a long time. Then he slowly understood that if the truth came out, the police would never believe them. Varun's mother was a powerful police officer. The case would never be treated fairly. His innocent daughter would be destroyed by society's judgment and the media. George Cuddy realized that the only way to save his family was to hide the truth forever. He told his wife and daughters not to cry or panic. He said he would take care of everything. That night, after making sure no one saw him, George Cuddy buried Varun's body in a secret place. He also disposed of Varun's car and other belongings carefully. Over the next few days, George Cuddy created an elaborate plan to protect his family. He knew that the police would soon start searching for the missing boy and that suspicion might fall on them. So he started preparing their alibi. He took his wife and daughters on a trip to different places over 2 days. They went to a restaurant, watched a movie, stayed at a lodging house, and visited a religious retreat. At each place, George Cuddy made sure people noticed them. He collected bills, tickets, and receipts. He made small talk with strangers so they would remember him later. Every action had a purpose. By doing this, he created evidence that would prove that his family was away from home at the time Varun went missing. After returning home, George Cuddy carefully coached his family. He told them every detail of what they had done during their trip and asked them to remember it perfectly. He said that if anyone questioned them, they must tell the same story without changing a single word. He made them practice again and again. He knew that even a small mistake could ruin everything. A few days later, Varun's parents realized that he had disappeared. They searched everywhere, called his friends, and checked his phone records. Finally, they found that his phone's last signal came from the area near George Cuddy's house. Suspicion immediately fell on him. IG Geeta Prabhakar and her husband went to meet George Cuddy. They asked him if he had seen Varun. George Cuddy stayed calm and polite and said he didn't know anything. But Geeta was not convinced. She ordered a police team to investigate. Soon, the police began questioning George Cuddy's neighbors and family members. At first, everyone's answers matched perfectly with George Cuddy's story. The police checked his travel records, movie tickets, and restaurant bills. Everything looked real and true. CCTV cameras even showed George Cuddy and his family at those places. Geeta was frustrated. She was sure George Cuddy was lying, but there was no proof. The investigation continued for several days. The police searched George Cuddy's house, his office, his yard, and even nearby lakes, but they found nothing. Finally, out of desperation and anger, they decided to use force. The police took George Cuddy, Ronnie, and their daughters into custody. They beat George Cuddy badly and threatened his family. They even tried to scare the little girls. It was a painful and terrifying time for them. However, no matter how much they were pressured, none of them changed their story. George Cuddy's careful preparation helped them stay strong. They said the same thing every time, that they were on a trip those days and knew nothing about any missing boy. Meanwhile, the people in the village began to talk about how cruel the police were being. They believed George Cuddy was innocent and that the police were abusing their power. Slowly, public sympathy turned toward him. After several days of investigation and torture, the police still couldn't find any evidence. During the investigation, IG Geeta Prabhakar intensifies her efforts to find out the truth about her missing son Varun. At one critical point, she interrogates Varun's friend, which leads to uncovering key details about Varun's behavior, specifically his wrongful misbehavior and blackmailing of Anju during the school nature camp. This information gradually makes Geeta, Varun's mother, fully aware of the role her son played in harassing Anju and the chain of events leading to his death. Though Geeta now knows the truth about what happened to Varun, she struggles with the unfolding complexities of the case. IG Geeta Prabhakar becomes desperate as all her professional resources and personal instincts fail to get a confession about her son's disappearance. Even after she uncovers the truth about her son Varun's misdeeds toward Anju, she cannot legally prove anything because of George Cuddy's expertly managed alibi and the lack of physical evidence. Driven to the edge by this, Geeta loses her composure and orders her officers to use physical force against George Cuddy and his family. The family, including Anju and little Anu, suffer harsh interrogation and even brutal torture at the hands of the police, particularly from the ruthless constable Sahadevan. Despite the pain and violence inflicted upon them, none of the family members initially confess, having been coached deeply by George Cuddy. This sequence powerfully illustrates both Geeta's devastation as a mother and the extreme lengths to which law enforcement is willing to go when emotions overtake protocol. Eventually, under extreme distress, little Anu finally reveals the supposed burial site of Varun, but the police end up finding only animal remains since George Cuddy has already moved the body. The family's suffering at the hands of the police becomes a turning point, leading to public outrage and consequences for those officers involved, but the scene stands out for showing the emotional breaking point of both the police and George Cuddy's family, highlighting the film's intense psychological stakes and the high cost of survival for ordinary people ensnared in extraordinary events. After the extreme torture inflicted on George Cuddy and his family by the police, the public and media became aware of the harsh treatment they were subjected to. This led to widespread outrage and support for George Cuddy's family, pressuring authorities to intervene. Due to the public outcry, the court stepped in and ordered the police to stop bothering George Cuddy and his family without explicit permission from the judiciary. This legal intervention protected the family from further harassment and abusive tactics by the police. As the situation calmed, George Cuddy and his family slowly started returning to their normal life. During this period, Ronnie, George Cuddy's wife, came home one day with news that IG Geeta Prabhakar had resigned from her post. Ronnie asked George Cuddy about the whereabouts of Varun's body. George Cuddy, deep in thought, briefly reflected on that fateful night, the night when he had buried Varun. He had chosen the most cunning place imaginable, beneath the foundation of their newly under-construction police station. This choice was born from careful calculation and confidence. Who would ever suspect that Varun's body lay hidden beneath the very symbol of law and order? George Cuddy was certain that no one would ever discover the truth there. When Ronnie pressed him for details, George Cuddy calmly replied that he would not reveal the exact place where the body was buried. He explained that this secrecy was the key to their family's safety. By keeping this knowledge to himself, he ensured that the protective shield around their family remained unbroken, an invisible fortress guarding them from legal peril and further harm. For George Cuddy, the body's concealment beneath the police station was both a masterstroke and a silent assurance that the past would remain buried, safeguarding their future together. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is for entertainment purposes only and to showcase what Malayalam cinema can offer to the whole world. Thank you for watching. Please support, subscribe,